Hi everyone, welcome to my West Coast Walnut channel. Today I'm going to show you what not to do. You've probably seen those videos where they take a perfectly good grinder and they turn it into a belt sander. Don't do that. Buy a belt sander. So here's my slider. This was overly complex design, but this is what I came up with at the time. It's been a couple years. I just pulled this out of storage and I have a few modifications, and so I'll show you those. So let's get to it. Okay, so the motor I have to pull the slider during a time lapse is this Celestron Logic Drive. Has an on-off button, it has north-south, it's got the power button, and it runs off a 9-volt battery. So most of the time I'm using an external power source. The output is DC 9 volts, 300 milliamps. So I plug that together and I can run this thing all day, all night for those long time-lapse videos. So it comes with this set screw. I'm sure you mount your telescope on there somehow, and so it can track the stars, but since we're using this to pull a string, I went ahead and cut this 1/2-inch Schedule 40 and super glued a washer on so that it can slip over the shaft there and kind of gives me a spool for the fishing line that I'd be pulling on to pull the slider. So I went ahead and drilled a clearance hole for this set screw. So I'm going to use this 1032 stainless steel screw in the bottom of this washer. Before I had this kind of taped on with some blue tape, and it really didn't work. The fishing line would fall down and wouldn't spool up at the correct speed. So with this diameter we should get it to spool consistently. Of course, changing that diameter would change the speed that we pull this. So far I've been pretty happy with this motor. There's not a lot of controls as far as the speed goes, but I've been pretty happy with the speed. I've had this in storage for a couple years, so when I pulled it out, it wasn't working. What I decided to do is to just kind of start taking it apart and see if I could get it to spin. First I tried to spin this and it just doesn't spin. I don't know, maybe because of the gear reduction. I didn't want to torque on it too hard. So I went ahead and took it apart, and I could see that this motor here was connected to this huge reduction gear, and so I took these clips off here and I separated these two parts. I then grasped the gear and played with it, and that was easy to turn, and then I plugged it in, turned it on, and then I could get it to start to spin. So I let it run for a while, put it back together, and now it works. So if you have one of these and it stopped working, I would highly recommend taking it apart, grabbing that gear and spinning it, and then plugging it in, let it run for a while, and then put it back together. Okay, I wanted to show a couple things about this slider that I do like. I do like the simplicity of buying these parts at a local hardware store. It's 1/2-inch conduit with the conduit connectors, metal, Siegel Gang electrical box. And then in there, if you can see, the same 1/2-inch conduit connector fits perfectly over this light stand that I bought, very inexpensive light stand, and it's a perfect fit, and there's no bolting, just gravity holds it. I guess you could add a washer and a nut there if you wanted to, but super simple design, and really like that aspect of it. Okay, now I'm going to install the motor. What I had done previously is drilled a hole there, drilled a hole in the bracket. Okay, a couple other things I do like about this slider is the adapter plate that I got. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description. It's all metal, very heavy duty, clamps down, has kind of a safety button there, has 2 level bubbles on there so you can get it level. But this thing will last a lifetime. I'm sure there's cheaper versions out there, but I really do like this adapter. As far as stability, I wish it was a little more stable when putting heavy cameras and heavy lenses on here. Maybe making it smaller would help make it more stiff. Right now I have it at about 5 feet, so I'm sure making it smaller would add some stiffness to that. As far as these skateboard wheels, you can see I put it on a lathe and I turned down a groove in it to ride along the conduit, and I used a piece of walnut as my skateboard. Ran a bolt through there. It's okay, it works okay. I feel like I could do much better, maybe have better bearings, a better way of holding the assembly, more like a skateboard truck. So maybe I need to study skateboard trucks and how they work, because they roll much smoother than this does. So there's some friction going on there, but it works. The motor is strong enough to pull it along, so pretty happy with it, other than it taking so long to make and the complexity. And remember, always wear your safety glasses.